Welcome back to the State and Local Sports Show. We're here with episode 7. I'm here with Mark Tennis of CalHighSports.com, editor of the website, co-founder, and it finally feels like autumn today. It's been scorching 80 degrees here well into October, but that kind of means that high school basketball season is returning in just a little over 4 weeks with regular season games to be exact. Now, your weekly column that you're doing for us, you're touching on St. Mary's girls basketball, the 8-time state champion, but the first time they've ever been a defending Open Division champion, and that's saying something. I saw them last week during St. Mary's football practice doing bleachers. I know you went and kind of saw some of their conditioning. And this is a team with a starting lineup that features an Oregon State commit in Kat Tudor, a Nebraska commit in Michael Caton. Akira DeCosta is the top-rated sophomore in the country. She's probably going to go wherever she wants. We've talked before that their second team is pretty much a college team. How good is this team historically, knowing they have a shot to be at least a preseason national number one? And, without revealing everything you wrote about, kind of what's the taste of your column this week?
Well, the taste of the column is that it's really uncharted territory for St. Mary's girls basketball. I mean, as good and as strong and as dominant as this program has been, and they have 8 state championships, they have never been in a situation where they have virtually everybody back from a team that was the number one team in the state, and that's the first time they were ever number one in the state overall in our rankings, and they have everybody back. And you want to talk about a bullseye being on your back, they've got one bigger than any team probably in this area's history has ever had. I mean, you're talking about a team that really, if they win the Arizona Tournament of Champions and then they win the Open Division again, they have a chance to go undefeated. And if that happens, we should have a parade, and they should be number one in the nation.
Something as a reminder about them that's new this year, too, is they've finally kind of gone to be a freelance team. They're independent. Their freshman and JV teams will continue to play West and Tokay and Lodi, but you won't be seeing as many 120 to 15 scores in the newspaper next year. They will still hold up their rivalry with Lincoln, which is the most competitive team with them in that league, so that'll still be fun for those involved with that. Now, there's still 2 weeks of high school football left in the regular season. There are already playoff scenarios aplenty. Teams who have already virtually clinched locally, and by clinched, I mean when you get 6 wins overall and 2 league wins, you're almost guaranteed a playoff spot just historically. Those teams who have clinched so far are McNair, St. Mary's, Manteca, and Ripon Christian. On the verge with 5 wins overall are Ripon, Chavez-Lincoln, West, and Calaveras. And if Lathrop can get Sierra on the road this week and handle Kimball Week 10, it will be the first winning season and postseason berth for the young school. Weston Ranch, it would be a rare postseason berth if they could beat Kimball and Sierra consecutive weeks. Now, not only do I think this could happen, but I believe it will happen because both teams' defenses are just good enough for this time of year. Your thoughts on the surprise playoff contenders, and especially someone like a Lathrop, who you have to not only try and build your program, but do it when there's these teams that have been good for half a century.
Yeah, no, I agree. Lathrop has been a surprise playoff contender. Some of the other ones are hard to say. They're not really necessarily in this area, but if they do win those 2 games, that'll be great for that school.
Now, I know a couple weeks ago we predicted Stagg and McNair. You were right. Stagg just eked the game out. I think that they used my pick against them as a little motivation, so I'll just take credit for their victory there. Our game of the week this week, Tracy at Lincoln. A literal playoff do-or-die for Tracy. They're 4-4 on the year. Lincoln, it could be a virtual do-or-die because they're at 5 wins, but if they lose this game, they're going to have to beat St. Mary's, which is, to me, the proven top team in this area. It's a matchup I should have looked up before we got on here, but they haven't won in quite a while. I like Tracy by a touchdown to 10 points or so in this game. Who you got heading into Friday at Spanish Stadium?
Yeah, I think that's going to be an interesting game. Both teams have played, really elite teams. Tracy's played Clayton Valley. Lincoln has played Elk Grove. Neither one of them did very well. I just get a sense from Tracy being with their quarterback situation, with the young sophomore, getting another game under his belt, having had played St. Mary's already. I agree. I think they're a little bit better football team.
Chavez visiting McNair this week in a huge game for the Sac-Joaquin Athletic Association. If McNair beats Chavez, that would place Stagg alone atop the SJAA unless Stagg falters against Franklin. And, Chavez just came off a scare against Franklin, a 6-point win. I'm guessing that McNair is still mad after losing to Stagg and taking that top spot in the league away. I'll take McNair to beat Chavez, especially at home, to remain in that SJ2A race. How about yourself?
I think McNair is just the better team. Chavez did have a rather struggling game against Franklin, surprisingly so. Credit to Franklin for playing tough. But I also just think McNair is the better football team, more explosive. I think last week they took a little bit of a maybe they didn't take Edison that seriously, but I mean, McNair saying, but I do think McNair's just a better team, so I would pick McNair to win.
Lathrop heading to Sierra. So if the Spartans want to stay alive for their first ever playoff spot, they're going to have to go through the house of the defending VOL co-champion Timberwolves. I think it's going to be a defensive game, but I think that Lathrop will do it, say a 16-13, 19-13 kind of victory. Your thoughts?
I'm going to go against you on this one. I just think, I mean, I love Lathrop's defense. You've mentioned that a couple of times. It'd be a great story if they do make the playoffs. But I think Sierra is, with their backs literally against the wall. They've got to win this game. They haven't really played that well this year, but I think this one last gasp, game, I think they can put it together and get a win over Lathrop. So I'm going to pick Sierra.
Tokay heading to West in the Tri-City Athletic League. Tokay, after 3 consecutive losses to start league, is playing for pride now. They had previously set a school record with 3 consecutive playoff appearances. That appears to be out of reach. West, though, can earn its 6th win and thus that likely playoff berth for the first time since 2011. And they really need to do it this week, in my opinion, given they have to go to rival Tracy in Week 10. And that game could mean something to Tracy as well, besides just the rivalry. And behind senior Marcel Dancy, who I think is one of the top picks or candidates for our Player of the Year award, West gets it done. Your thoughts on this game?
I believe West, again, is just the better football team. And then, as someone who used to live in Tracy, it would be great to see Tracy and West play in the final week with something really on the line. So if Tracy does beat Lincoln and West wins, that will make that game really big. So I'm going to pick West.
Lost in the games being actually played in Sac-Joaquin County itself is an old school rivalry. As you said when we were talking before this, dating back to the 20s, the Milk Jug rivalry as Manteca visits Oakdale. Manteca could create a second place tie and hang in the VOL race, but to me, Oakdale's offensive balance is just too much, and Manteca, their offense has struggled against very good defenses like Oakdale's. I think Oakdale wins in a good game. How about you?
I think Oakdale and Central Catholic are just on another level than anybody else in the VOL, and really, they might be the 2 best teams in the whole southern part of the Sac-Joaquin section, regardless of school size or anything else you want to look at. And I do think Oakdale's going to win, and we're going to set up a Oakdale Central Catholic, Week 10 showdown. That'll be great.
Yeah, that would be an amazing game. And thanks for joining us as always. You can go on to CalHighSports.com. Their Gold Club membership, less than $20 a year, less than $2 a month. You go to Starbucks and get a vanilla latte. It's like $4.50. Imagine what you can get here. State record books, rankings, insider info, everything you need. Mark, thanks for joining us as always. We appreciate it.
Thanks again, Thomas.